What's going on, everybody? My name is Michael Weir, and this is my movie review for the movie The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. That's right, we're finally in the third installment of the Conjuring franchise. And guys, I know it's been a long time since I've made a video. February, I think, was the last time I put a video out. And so if you're watching this, thanks for coming back and checking out my channel. I'll do my best to get as much content out to you guys as possible. But yeah, let's do the review. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And so, guys, The Conjuring 3 is directed by Michael Chaves, and if that name sounds familiar, that's because Michael Chaves also directed La Llorona. Yeah, he directed that movie. It's the best thing about that movie is the chick who plays Velma from Scooby-Doo, and her name escapes me right now, and I'm not gonna go look it up. But yeah, she's the best thing about the movie. Otherwise, it's not good. And so when I found out Michael Chaves was directing this, I was like, I'd rather it be James Wan. But all right. But the movie does star the two people that have made the Conjuring franchise fun thus far, and that is Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as the Warrens. That's right, these two are the Warrens. They're the ghost hunters. They're the people that track down the evil spirits, send them back to hell. There's been a lot of fun with these two characters, and anytime they pepper them into this universe of movies, I think they were in Annabelle Comes Home to drop the doll off at the beginning. That was the best part of that movie too. So I really do feel these two have made the franchise their own, and as the franchise goes forward, I hope they continue using the Warrens. But like I said, this movie follows the Warrens around, and it follows Vera Farmiga's character and Patrick Wilson's character. Starts off in a haunted house. It starts off during a exorcism, and actually on that note, they do apparently, this is what it's, they're paying homage, because that's the nice way to say they're ripping off another movie to The Exorcist. When the priest shows up at the very beginning of the movie, it's like it's cut directly from The Exorcist, and it's cool, I guess, but yeah, that's what they're doing there. So the priest comes in, they're doing this exorcism, and things go crazy. I don't want to get into too many details because the trailer didn't really talk about it, but basically things don't go as planned, things go kind of crazy, and the demon moves on to another person. That person, and this is important for the setup of the movie, goes and kills someone while he's possessed by a demon, and I can tell you that because that part was in the preview. And that guy then gets arrested and goes to jail, and so the Warrens have to come to his defense. Now, at that point, I thought we were going to see a courtroom-based movie. I think Exorcism of Emily Rose was a courtroom-based movie, and it was done really well. And so I thought that's what they were going with this, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool angle. I mean, we've seen the Warrens in the haunted house. Now let's see them in the courtroom, and maybe they're going to have to branch out a little. And they do branch out a lot actually, because the courtroom scenes are very minimal, and then the movie takes off. And I think it would have been better, in my personal non-director or writer opinion, to stay in that courtroom, but they didn't. They were like, let's spread out and look for clues. And again, they didn't have Velma, so I don't know what they were thinking there. They spread out, they look for clues, and things start to come unraveled, things that they didn't catch the first time around before the exorcism, and they're like, well, we gotta slow down and we gotta figure this thing out. And to me, that's the biggest issue of the movie, is when they decide to slow down, the movie slows down with it. The movie's over 2 hours long, and it feels like it, and it's too bad, because I really enjoy parts of this movie. I really enjoy different aspects of this movie. But I feel like they stole from The Exorcism at the beginning. They steal from The Shining at the end. They really do. And I won't go into details, but they do. They steal from The Shining. That's basically my synopsis for this movie. The rest of the movie is a whodunit, and they've got to figure it out. So let's jump into some things I like, some things I dislike, and then I'll give you guys a rating. The first thing I like about this movie, well, again, I love the Warrens, and what I really like about the Warrens is that they age, and that's pretty cool. I mean, when we picked up, it was almost 20 years previous, and so now they've got gray hair. Patrick Wilson's character is a little heavier. They're really starting to look their age, which is pretty cool. I do appreciate that they're not just young forever stars. You know, they moved 20 years in the future, so now both of those stars had to age up appropriately 20 years, and I think that was really cool. And then, of course, guys, I like the scares. I mean, that's what we come to these movies for, the scares. Not necessarily the jump scares, but just that feeling of uneasiness, and it did give me a little bit of that. Not as much as the first or second time around, or not even as much as some of the Annabelle movies have done, but this movie did give you a little bit of uneasiness while you're sitting there watching it. And I did watch this one in my house, so maybe that's why it didn't. I'm not afraid of going to the theaters, just to be perfectly clear, and all of my theaters are open. But I was like, you know what? I've never had the opportunity to see a scary movie on opening weekend without a crowd, because I find that in scary movies, crowds are the actual worst. I love a crowd during a superhero movie, during a comedy. The whole crowd kind of gets into it. But man, you get a couple of rotten teenagers in the crowd of a horror movie on opening weekend, and it can just ruin things. I can name several movies off the top of my head that have just been ruined by people in the theater who were just bored or not having a good time, or they thought, hey, you know what'll be funny if I just trash this movie because other people are here paying to see it. So when I got to see it on HBO Max on my couch, I was like, I'm not mad at that. So I did. My wife and I, Friday night, we watched it. And, again, being in our house, you're not in a strange place like the theater. You're not around people you don't know. It's not completely blacked out like the theater is. It didn't have that scare. I tried to close the curtains, turn the lights off, waited till it got dark outside. Just not the same experience. So maybe that's on me. But I did, for the record, since we're in things that I liked, I did enjoy what they tried to do with some of the scares. Some of the scares worked in this movie. Some of the jump scares worked in this movie. Not all of them, and again, not as effectively, but some of them were good. That leads me to things I dislike about this movie, guys, and that is going to be kind of what I've already touched on when I was talking about the synopsis. The pacing of this movie, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, the movie starts hot, and you're like, ooh, this is going to be good. And then, like I said, it goes to a courtroom, and I think it does well with that. But then it's just all over the place, and then the person who did it, and the person that kind of knows who did it's just all a big kind of tangle. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then the big reveal demon at the end is a letdown as well. And that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to, spoil anything for you guys, but some of my favorite parts of this movie just had Annabelle in the background. And Annabelle doesn't do anything but sit in a chair. But those are some of my favorite things. I mean, there was a point in this movie where they tell this non-believer lawyer, why don't you come by the house and meet Annabelle? And then we'll see what you think. And then it doesn't show that. And I wish it had, because I think that would have been a much better scene to show than some of the other scenes that they show. Because it just skips ahead to the next courtroom scene after she's gone to the house and seen Annabelle. And she's like, yeah, we're pleading not guilty, demonic possession. I believe in them now. And it's like, oh, what scared you so bad in that room with Annabelle that you didn't, now that you believe them? Like, I don't know. That's just, I would wanted to have seen that. And then the next time you see Annabelle, it's the very end. They're putting away an artifact because it's the Conjuring movies. It's what they do. And you just kind of see Annabelle in the background, like, I'm still here, bitch. Like, that's what she does. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I didn't hate the movie, guys. It wasn't as good as The Conjuring 1 or The Conjuring 2. And so, guys, with all that being said, I gotta go and give the movie this rating. That's right. It's better than La Llorona. That's the best way I could say it too. That's my movie review, guys. If you enjoyed this movie review, hit the like button. If you want to share this movie review with your friends, make sure you do that by hitting the share button. If you've seen The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and you want to talk about it in the comment section down below, well, let's do that. Let's go back and forth. Remember, it's on HBO Max, so you have access to it. If you don't have access to a theater, let's talk about that movie. It'd be a good time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.